All right, now we're going to take a look at matching quadratic functions. For that, you really need to understand all three forms because you're going to need your knowledge for all three forms to do it. First of all, these are in quadratic forms, but now we're going to talk about like when you have multiple choice, what do you do, okay? Because this is like multiple choice. So a lot of times you don't even have to graph the whole equation. You can just use some common sense. So the first thing I'm going to teach you to look at is, remember, the first thing is you're always looking at the number outside. Okay, is it positive or negative? So in this sense, this is what? Negative, and that is positive. So if it's negative, it's going to be opening down. If it's positive, it's opening up. So I can use that information to answer this without even graphing. So if this is negative, it opens down. Which graph opens down? This one does. So I don't even have to graph it. I could just drag this right there, and then this one is positive, so it has to be that. So a little common sense with the information that we've learned so far. Same thing here. That's a negative outside, so that's going to open down. So that has to be this one. And this is positive, opens up. That has to be that. Okay, so a lot of this, we're just going to use some common sense. All right, now, nice thing is they've also rewrote it for you in vertex form, right? These are both positive, so I can't do a shortcut with that. However, I can use some information that I know. So let me take this one. They've already written this for me almost in the format that I need it in. The only difference is, remember, for me to have vertex form is to have, for me to have vertex form, it has to look like this, x minus h plus k. And that's not minus, so I just need to make it minus. And how do I make it minus? I just can write that positive as negative, squared, and then there's plus 0. So my vertex is negative 8, 0. And because they've already graphed it for me, that's all the information I need. This one has a vertex of negative 8, 0. So negative 8, 0, that's not it. It has to be this, negative 8, 0. So this one that looks like this with a 16x. So you will notice that they have rewritten this for you in vertex form to make it easier for you to graph, and I'm going to show you how to do that in the next video. All right, so that means this one has to be that one. Oh, actually, I'm just going to leave the vertex form up here real quick. So y equals x minus h squared plus k. All right, again, both of these are negative, so that doesn't help me get rid of anything. But they've rewritten something in vertex form for me, so I'm just going to kind of use vertex form because I guess that's easier than actually calculating. I could calculate the vertex from here. As a matter of fact, maybe I should show you how to do that. Should I show you? Because this is going to be quick. I'm going to show you anyway. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the first video and show you how to use, to calculate the vertex. So remember, to calculate the vertex is minus b over 2a, right? So I'm going to write that here somewhere. So when it's in standard form, like this is standard form, I can just calculate the vertex by doing minus b over 2a. And what is a and b? A is the number next to x squared, which is negative 1. So negative 1, and then 2, and then a is, oh, wait, I just did that wrong. Sorry. Minus b. B is the number next to x. Is there an x? No, so that number is 0. And then a is the number next to x squared, and next to x squared is negative 1. All right, so 0 divided by 2, you're going to find, if you put that in the calculator, if you just go negative, and then it has 0, right? Then divided by, and then parentheses, 2 times negative 1 is going to give me 0. So x is equal to 0. Then you plug that back in to find y, right? So I'm going to plug it back in. So I have negative, and then I have x, which is 0 squared minus 4. So my y is negative 4. So that graph is 0, negative 4. So with this, you get to choose whichever method you like best. And then I'll show you vertex form as well. So 0, negative 4. 0, 0, negative 4. So this first one is that one. And this has to be this. So you can use standard form or vertex form, and a little bit later on, you're going to be able to use intercept form. But I'm going to kind of interchange both so you can get an example of both, and then you choose whichever one you want to. Okay, so again, if I was doing standard form, I need, I'm going to keep this actually here, negative b over 2a. All right, so that's a, that's b. So negative b, so negative of 8 over 2 times a, which is negative 2. So negative 8 over 4, over negative 4, which is positive 2. So x is positive 2. And honestly, I don't even have to solve for the y yet, because here, x, this is where the vertex is, right? So x is going to be 2, not negative 6. So I don't even have to solve for the y. I can go ahead and do it that way. I'll show you one more standard, and then I think after that I'll stick to vertex because it's actually kind of easier in my opinion. So x equals negative b over 2a. So that's a, that's b. Okay, actually I'm going to pick the smaller number. Okay, that's a is right here, which is 1, and then that's b. So that's a and b. X equals minus b, so minus, and then b is negative 8 over 2a. What's the number outside there if it's invisible? Visible 1. 2 negatives going to make a positive. 8 over 2, which is 4. So x is equal to 4. Plug that back in to find y, but first I may not have to because it's a multiple choice. Which one has a vertex? So the vertex is the point where it changes the direction. This one has a vertex of negative 7. This one has a vertex of 4. Remember, I picked the second equation, so that means that one's that one, and this one is this one. So multiple choice means you can kind of get away with not doing everything. I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to switch back to vertex form, okay? All right, so again, I'm going to pick the smallest numbers. That's A, that's B. So x equals negative 13 over 2, invisible 1. So negative 13 over 2. That's going to give me like a decimal, right? So it can't be this one. It's got to be this one, because you can see the vertex is not like at negative 6. It's between negative 6 and negative 7. So if I put this in the calculator, I should get between negative 6 and negative 7, which is negative 6.5, which makes sense. So it's this one. So that second one is this one, okay? So 2 ways that you can do it. You just pick the one that you like the most. Let me show you vertex form again. Oh, actually, now I can show you intercept form. So remember, so this is standard. I'm just going to write standard, vertex, and then intercept form is when you have x minus p, x minus q. It has to be minus, right? And you can see they've written it out for you, right? And then this are the roots. P and q are the roots, or where it crosses the x-axis, I'm sorry. So because they're both minus already, I'm good. It crosses at 1 and 3. So now you look at where does a graph cross the x-axis. Here it doesn't cross at all, so it has to be this one. Crosses at 1 and 3. So intercept form is even faster, and that's my second equation. Intercept form is even faster. So this is just, you need to know all 3 forms so you can know which one is best to solve your question. Okay, so if they give me intercept form, I'm going to use it. So here's another intercept form because it looks like this. It already has my 2 minuses, so that means I'm just picking my points. It crosses at 6 and at 8. So I'm looking for the graph that crosses at 6 and at 8. So it crosses the x-axis at 6 and at 8. This one doesn't even cross the x-axis, which, by the way, means no roots or there are no x solutions, just in case you need those words. So this is the first one, so that's this one, that goes there, and then this one goes there. Okay, so I have 3 different ways of doing the question, okay? 3 different ways. Again, this looks like that because it's parentheses, parentheses. The only thing is I have to make the minus, minus. So how can I rewrite that to make it minus, minus? I go x minus negative 2, and I go x minus negative 1. And my roots are negative 2 and negative 1. So it crosses at negative 2 and negative 1. This one doesn't even cross. This one, does this cross at negative 1 and negative 2? Yes, it does. So that first one is this. Oops. First one is that. This one is this. So you're just going to be interchanging between all 3 ways. Okay, so you need to know all 3 ways before you can do this one. All right, so there's no roots. There's no roots, but I can do vertex or standard. So I'm going to show you another vertex because I think I only showed you one. So vertex, remember, has to look like this. So I'm going to take this first one because this kind of looks like this. I just need to finagle this middle one, right? So I'm going to rewrite it in vertex form. So that's going to be 2x, and I needed to say minus. So I'm going to say minus 6 squared. And then, is there a number outside? No, so that's 0. And then remember, this is my vertex. So my vertex happens at that, and my line of symmetry is that. So now I go look for that. Okay, so my vertex happens at negative 6. Bam. Oh, it doesn't happen there. Negative 6. 0 is my vertex, and my axis of symmetry is -6, which means if you fold it, it folds right into each other. And that looks exactly like that. So that first one is this. That means my second one must be this. Also, I could have actually didn't need to do that because remember, I could have done the shortcut. This is positive, so it means it going upward. This is negative, means it going downward. So you can kind of use your common sense on most of these questions. So again, 3 different ways. You pick the way that is best suited for you. I don't care how many options they give you. All right, so let's start with the roots. Roots are the easiest one, so I'm going to pick this one first. Okay, so it's already minus minus. That means 2 and 3 are my roots. So let me find the graph that goes through 2 and 3, and that's going to be h of x. So crosses at 2 and 3, crosses at 2 and 3, crosses at 2 and 3. Crosses at 2 and 3 right here. So this equation crosses at 2 and 3, which was my h. So I'm going to match that with that. Okay. Other thing I can do, so I've already done this one. All right, other thing I can do is I can see that there are 3 negatives, 3 downward, opens downward, and 1 opens upward. So let me look for this positive one. Okay, so let me look for this positive one. Which one is positive? That's negative, negative, and positive. See, that way I don't have to do so many questions. Okay, so that one's positive. Now I have these 2 remaining, which are these 2, F and G, F and G. All right, so I can do either standard form or vertex form. I'm going to do vertex form because it's already minus, and I really love it when they already have it in minus. So this is just add in a +0 because it already looks like negative. That, remember, vertex, that's what I'm looking for. So my vertex is 6 and 0. So my vertex happens at 6 and 0, and it goes down. So of the 2 graphs remaining, of this graph and this one, which happened, where is the vertex at 6 and 0? And it has to be this one. This one, the vertex at 0, -3. So 6 and 0 is my vertex, and that was f of x. So f of x goes with this one. And so this one must go with the remaining. All right, so by the time you get to here, you have to be really good at all 3 so that you can pick the one that you like. Even if you're good at just one, you can still use it. It may take you longer, but you can still use it. Again, I'm always going to look for my roots. My roots are the easiest ones. It's already minus minus, right? So I don't need to change anything. That means it crosses at 3 and 4. So I'm going to go and see which graph crosses at 3 and 4, and that's K. 3 and 4, 3 and 4, this one, and that's K. So I'm going to put this over here. Other thing I'm going to do before I do any calculations is look at my graphs. All of them are opening downwards, except this is opening upwards. So I'm going to look for my positive one, and that goes with this graph here. Which one's positive? That's negative, negative, and that's positive. So that one goes there. And then the 2 remaining. Okay, so now I have F and G remaining, F and G. I can do either vertex form or standard form. So I did vertex form on the last one, so I'll do standard form on this one. So here it is in standard form. I'm looking for A and B. So remember, for standard form, I guess I should have written this somewhere. Y equals AX squared plus BX plus C. I need the number with X squared is A. So what's that? -1. So when I write it down here, I'll write -1 there, and then a minus, and then I need the number with the x. There's no x, so what's that number? 0. When you plug that in the calculator, you will get x equals 0. You can plug that back in to find y. So 0 squared -0 minus 1. It's going to be -1. So my vertex is at 0 and -1. So of the 2 graphs remaining, so this one and this one, which one has a vertex of 0, -1? So 0, -1, that one does. This one has 0, this one has -7, 0. That means that 0, -1 is that one. So which equation did I use? I used f of x. So this means this is f of x. And the remaining one, which is bottom right, is that one. Okay, ooh, man, they're getting complicated and more complicated, right? But again, I'm going to find my roots are going to be the easiest ones, but I needed to say minus, minus. This says plus, plus. So how can I rewrite that? I can say 2x minus minus 8 x minus minus 5, because a negative and negative is still going to give me plus. Now I have my roots at negative 8 and negative 5. I'm also going to do this one because that's this, but it's plus, so I have to rewrite it. So this is 2x minus minus 9 and x minus minus 6. So negative 9 and negative 6. So has my roots at negative 9 and negative 6. Negative 9, negative 6 is k. Negative 9 and negative 6. Yes, this one is negative 9, negative 6, which is k. That means that one's this one. The other one is negative 8, negative 5. Negative 8, negative 5. That's that one, right? So that one was which one? That was the first one. That's f of x. All right, now I just have 2 left. So now I've gotten rid of those. I have h and g, so I can do vertex or I can do standard. It just depends on which one you find easier. Actually, before I do that, I've just noticed something. The number outside, one's positive and one's what? Negative, so I can cheat, right? So g of x is going to be the positive one that's left over. So I've already gotten rid of 2. The positive one left over is this one. So that's going to be my positive, which is g of x. And then, so that's g of x is my positive, and then my negative one is going to be that. So I can kind of cheat, so I didn't even have to do any work on that question. Perfect. All right, let me look for my roots. I guess you're now finding out which my favorite is, right? Here are my roots right here. Okay, so I need minus minus on this one. So I need to rewrite this, x minus minus 6, and I need x minus minus 1. So it's negative 6, negative 1. Is there another root? Yes, here we go. So this one is 2x, and it's plus, so it has to be minus, minus, minus 1. This one's already minus, so I'm just leaving it like that. So this is negative 1, 3. So those are my roots. So let's find my roots. G of x is negative 6, negative 1. My roots, wait, negative 6, negative 6, negative 6. I'm looking for negative 6, negative 6, negative 1. That's my g of x. So this one is my g of x. G of x. So I'm going to drag it down. Okay, then I'm looking for negative 1, negative 3, and that's my h of x. Negative 1, negative 3. So negative 1, nope, negative 1. Oh, negative 1, positive 3. Negative 1, positive 3. So this one is my h of x. So that one's my h of x. And oh gosh, look, I can cheat, right? Because one's positive, one's negative. So the negative one goes with this because it's down. Okay, my positive one goes with whatever is left over there. So the great thing about multiple choices is you can kind of cheat your way through, or I don't want to say cheat, but you know, kind of use your common sense. All right, again, find my roots. Oh man, there are no roots. Okay, so cool. No roots, so I can either do standard or vertex. All right, pick one, doesn't really matter. I'll do, first let me see. My negatives and positives, only one negative, right? So that means this one is my opens downwards. F of x opens downwards. So which one opens? Just this one. So this one is f of x, so I don't have to do that question. Bam. Now I have this. This is probably quicker to do my standard form because it just has a. So standard form, the number with x squared is a. So that's going to be, so if I wrote, this is what I'm writing. A goes here, B goes here. So A is 2. And is there an x? No, so that's 0. 0 divided by anything is going to give me 0. Plug 0 back in, so y equals 0 squared is 0 times 2 is 0. So 0, 0 is g of x. So 0, 0, nope. I already used that one. 0, 0, yes. So this one is g of x. Okay, and I have 2 left, right? 2 left, and they're in vertex form. So I guess I'll just go ahead and use vertex form. I'll do one, and that'll take care of the other. So I want to make it look like this. The only reason it doesn't look like this is it doesn't have k. If there's no number there, what is it? 0. So what's my vertex is 3 and 0. So my vertex is 3 and 0. And before I even plug in numbers, let me see if I have just one graph at 3, 0. This one is at 3, 0. My vertex is 3, 0. And let me check the other one. This one's not at 3, 0. So I don't even have to plug any more numbers. I know that that's my vertex. So h of x is that one. And then the one that's left over is going to be my leftover. All right, look for my roots. Ooh, they got 3 roots. That's perfect. I love roots. Roots are easy. Actually, before I even look for my roots so I don't waste my time, let me look for my positive and negatives, right? That's positive, negative, positive, positive. So there's only one negative. So g of x is negative, opens downwards. So g of x opens downwards. Bam. So I've already used g of x. Now let me use this as my roots, right? Because it's already minus, 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 minus. So I can just pull the numbers. So that means my p and q are 1 and 4. So I'm looking where it crosses at 1 and 4. My roots, my zeros at 1 and 4. So that's not it. 1 and 4, that's not it. 1, nope. 1 and 4, this one. All right, so 1 and 4 is my bottom right, which is h of x. Bottom right, h of x. Bam. All right, now I'm left with these two right here. Again, it's probably quicker just to do my roots. So x, but it has to be x minus, right? And that's x plus. So I just have to rewrite this one. So 2x minus minus 2. And then this is already minus, so that's fine, x minus 1. And those are my roots at negative 2 and 1. So my roots are negative 2 and 1 are k. Negative 2 and positive 1, that's k. And therefore, my leftover goes on my leftover. All right, I guess I got one more question to do. All right, so, oh look, roots, there's 2 negatives, 2 positives. That means if I do one root, the other negative one will be the answer. So let me do this one. All right, to have my zeros or my roots where it crosses the x-axis, I need x minus, so I need to rewrite that. So that's minus x minus negative 2, and then x minus 3. It crosses at negative 2 and 3. So I'm looking for f of x, negative 2 and 3. Negative 2, yep, and nope, that's not it. Negative 2 and 3, this is it. So that first one crosses there. Oops. Now, I've already used the negative, right? That means there's only one negative remaining, which means h of x has to be the only other graph that's opening downwards. So h of x has to be the only other graph opening downwards, which is this one. So that's that. Okay. And then now I'm left with g of x and k of x, g of x and k of x. And this is in roots again. Oh, that's easy. It's already in roots. That's great. Okay, so it's x minus, so my root is 5 and 8. So g of x is 5 and 8. G of x is 5. Nope, that's not it. I've already used that one. 5 and 8. 5 and 8, this one. So g of x is bottom right, which means this one has to be what is left. Oof, one more. All right, look for my roots. My roots are my easiest question right here. I already have minus, so 4 and 6. So it crosses at 4 and 6 is f of x. 4 and 6, f of x. Roots right here. Well, do I have any negatives? I have 2 negatives and 1 more positive. Okay, so I've used one of the positives. There's only one more left. So that means k of x is the only positive left. That's positive, negative, right? So this one. So what was that one? I used that one, so it's this one. So k of x is this one. So k of x is this one. Okay, the other two are 2 negatives, right? And these are in vertex form. So I'm just going to write these. I'm going to start with the one that already has the minus that looks, so I can just use the other one. The only thing that's missing is this plus k, right? So I just have to put plus 0. So my vertex is 7 and 0. So my vertex happens at 7, 0. And it slopes this way. So my vertex happens at 7, 0, which is hx. 7, 0, 7. No, I already used those two. 7, nope. 7, 0 right here. My vertex happens at 7, 0. And that one is h of x. So h of x. And what is left over goes here. Moment of truth. Is Miss Ainley done? Yes, Miss Ainley is done.